Alright guys, hey, today I'm going to replace some of the brakes on my brown truck. The brown Fummins, a 12 valve, compound turbos. It can go fast, it really can't stop that fast. So here's the truck behind me. I got a hydraulic boost master cylinder from Far From Stock. They made an adapter plate to go to these Bumpside trucks. The master cylinder is from Wilwood. It's a really nice setup, really packaged nice. So let's dive in and see what we got working for us today. There is the stock master cylinder. We're gonna end up taking those bolts out right there and unhooking the brake lines. And if you see inside the truck here, so we have the stock brake pedal here in my 72 Ford. It's really tough to see. I got a lot of wiring going on under here and stuff, but so pretty much there is a single bolt that holds this brake pedal to a threaded rod, and that threaded rod is attached to the back side of that master cylinder, which I showed you in the engine compartment. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unhook everything. I'm gonna pull this thing out and see what we're working with, and then you guys can see that threaded rod like I was talking about. This is my new hydraulic boost with the master cylinder from Wilwood. You can see the end in there. It's a really nice setup. Far From Stock's got their nice little logo on there. Now this is the plate right here that I was talking about. Daryl from Far From Stock, we were talking, and he was able to come up and drill a couple more holes so that it should bolt right up to the firewall, and it'll fit with the Cummins engine. And you can see the the holes, or the fittings here for the hydraulic hoses that are going to go to the new power steering pump. And here's a proportioning valve, comes with it. He threw in some sweet little beer openers. Maybe I'll mount one of those in the back of the brown truck. But some nice, really nice stuff here. So in the kit, you get a little kit for bench bleeding your master cylinder, which I'll show you in the video later. All right. You got a bunch of fittings and adapters with a rubber boot for the back side of the master cylinder. You got your little bullet there. Well, I call it a bullet. You'll need that for the hooking those master cylinder and the hydraulic boost together. So this will be your bracket for your proportioning valve. All right. Well, what I'll do is I'm going to go underneath the dash first, unhook that brake pedal, and then I'm going to go into the firewall engine compartment, unhook the master cylinder brake booster, pull that out, and see what we're working with. Okay, let's do it. All right, I got the bolt out underneath the dash. It looks something like that right there. Okay, so if you're looking for it, that's the one it is. 1/2 inch on one side, 3/4 on the other. Now I'm gonna get in the engine compartment. I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know if you can see this, unbolt these bracket back here. And I'm gonna slide this whole entire thing out once I got these brake lines off. Okay, so those brake lines and these couple bolts behind here are all that's holding that on. All right, let's get to it. All right, I got the lines off. I'm gonna unbolt the master cylinder from the power booster, just so I can show you guys. Okay, all right. That's what it should look like with the master cylinder out, stock one. Right, there's the power booster. All right, here is your stock master cylinder. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take this off right here. There should be, there's 4 bolts behind it. once this is off, we'll be able to take the bracket off the firewall. I have the firewall undercoated, so I might have to touch up a little bit. We'll see what happens. But let's get Betsy off here and see what happens. You know, I think I'm just gonna take the bracket right off the firewall. I think that might be easier. All right, she doesn't want to come off. All right, guys, I've been working the last 3 hours on trying to get these bolts out behind the old vacuum boost for the brake master cylinder on my 72 Ford, and they were in there for the last 50 years. Those were the original bolts, guaranteed. And thank you to Ford, makes them 3/4 of an inch too long, so the bolts were in there, rust on the other side inside the dash. But I got them. All right, so I still got the vacuum boost in there. Those are those 4 holes I told you about. So now I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna take that vacuum boost. I'm gonna get it out of the truck, and I'm gonna put the new one together. I'm gonna see how it looks. All right, so let's do it. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you a little bit behind the vacuum boost cylinder, what it actually is, okay? For any of you guys who hasn't seen this before, this is pretty much what it is. Top view is right there, okay? You got a bushing, and you got the bar here. This has got a Heim joint on it. It actually can adjust, so you can adjust your brake pedal. This is what it looks like. The new Wilwood hydraulic boost will have the same thing. So pretty much, you know, this is your master cylinder, bolts on like that, right? This rod you're gonna push on. This rod you're gonna push on with your brake pedal. When you push down your brake pedal, this rod creates pressure all the way up. There's a rod that goes all the way through, which pushes, pretty much essentially pushes fluid out of your lines down to your calipers, okay? This enhances that by vacuum off of the truck. You vacuum hose usually to the gas engine, usually by the carburetor. This diesel engine's got a vacuum pump on the power steering pump, okay? So that's the old one. Why are we getting rid of it? Because the 2004 axle swap that we did, the calipers just take an crazy amount of pressure. They did have a hydraulic boost master cylinder right from Ford. It's just this truck with this master cylinder doesn't create enough pressure to handle those calipers of that 2004 axle swap out of that Super Duty. So we're gonna put that new hydro boost in the truck, bolted in. We're gonna have to adjust this back bar like I talked about so that the brake pedal is correct, and then also hook up our new lines and test it out. This bolt right here is what attaches the linkage to from the back of the hydro boost to your pedal, okay? This one bolt. It's a little bit of a weird bolt. Here, let me show you. It's got an actual sleeve on it, if you can see that. It's plastic. It keeps it from wearing out, okay? Now, sometimes that plastic sleeve, right, this is the old setup, okay, and it fits right in there. So that plastic sleeve is kind of stuck in there a little bit. So most of the time, and I wanted to tell you guys this before I go through, and I can't seem to get it back in there again right now, but most of the time what happens is this plastic sleeve stays in that linkage, okay? You're gonna want this plastic sleeve, okay, for the new setup. You're gonna want to put that thing on there like so, and then slide it through the new linkage on the Wilwood by the pedal. If you don't have this plastic sleeve or some sleeve like it, you're gonna have a little bit of slop in that linkage, okay, like so. You see how it kind of like slops back and forth? You're gonna have that on the new one, and you don't want that, all right? It's gonna make the pedal slop a little bit. It's not gonna be fun to drive. So again, you're gonna want that plastic sleeve, okay? That'll fit right in there. You don't want slop. You don't want any slop on your pedal, okay? let's get it done. I spoke earlier how Far From Stock gave me this adapter plate. They took a template off of another Bumpside truck. So I'm gonna call up Far From Stock on Monday and kind of find out so I can let you guys know on the video. But I'm thinking that on the firewall, and I'll show you here, they have a plate that holds the top of the steering column. Okay, it's held on by this band clamp right here. There's 3 bolts holding it together. The adapter that Far From Stock gave me has got a bottom curve to follow this line. However, what I'm coming to find out is I think that the truck that they took the template off of, this plate is probably a little moved in a different location. So either 2 things got to happen. One, the adapter plate has to be changed, or the one that they gave me has to be cut up a little bit for a different size. Or 2, you leave the adapter plate together and you have to move your whole entire steering column, which honestly this truck steers really good, and I got a Borgeson steering column in here, and I really steering linkage I mean, and I really don't want to cut that or move that up. So I'm gonna end up cutting about, I don't know, about a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch off of the bracket that, or the adapter plate that they gave me for this hydraulic boost system. Now here I'll show you. Now this is upside down, but here's that curve, okay? This would normally go like this, right? So here's the back side of the plate that you're seeing. Here's the steering linkage that'll hook towards your pedal. Here's what they cut. They cut this right here. Really, this is almost really nice, but it almost to fit all Fords. They should really have this curved up and all the way over to the other edge. So let's get that cut and see what happens. I got the adapter to the firewall cut. It's going to look, enough of me, it's going to look something just like that. Now, I just got done cutting it, so it looks, you know, like I just got done cutting it. So I'm going to get this thing bolted up, get it back in the truck. First, I'll paint it and clean it up first, and let's go from there and see what we got. All right, let's do it. Alright, so I'm just assembling the master cylinder from Wilwood, and for any of the guys out there that have any questions about it, I'm just going to say it in case, you know, I'm sure people out there know and they've done this before. Okay, so what I got is I just put all 4 screws in the top lid so I don't lose the screws. I open the package up. It's got all the fittings that you kind of want. It'll have 4 crush washers, okay, right there. And what they do from Wilwood, which is super nice, is they have 2 ports on this side, and they also have 2 ports on the other side. So depending on your application, what you would do, for me at least, is I'm going to go ahead and block these 2 off. Put the crush washer in, put the stopper bolt in, which was supplied in the kit, and since I'm not using this side, blocked it off, and I am using this side, so we're leaving those open for right now. Now, I call it the bullet, right? So they send this actually, some people forget to put this in. They're like, oh, what is this? I don't know. You have to put it in the back there, okay? So I'm going to put it up on its end because I'm dealing with one hand here, guys. And don't fall. So we're going to go ahead and slide her in. And then the back side of... we're just going to slide it right there, and then this boot goes over the top of it, okay? You slide it right over there. It's got a little joint in there, and it goes right in just like that. Then it can get bolted to the hydraulic unit, which I will go ahead and show you guys. So I had a little hemispherical indentation on the back side of that bullet that fits this rod here perfectly, okay? So right there, for everyone that can see, fits that just perfectly. The back side of that bullet. I call it a bullet. I'm sure there's a name for it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't to me. So again, you see how it's got that indentation that fits right in there, and then like I said, you get the dust cover goes right over that. So now that I have this installed to the point, once I get this on, I'm gonna go ahead and bolt that in the truck and keep going. We have the unit completely installed. So from here, we're gonna go ahead and go under the dash and start working on the pedal. I have the cap still loose because we gotta bleed it in the truck yet. And then I'm gonna have to redo a lot of these brake lines that you see right here. Just for the fact that I could hook them back up once it's bled and use the factory proportioning valve. For all your Ford guys, you'll know it's down on the driver's frame, right under the floorboard of the driver, right against the frame rail right there. So what our plan is we're gonna go ahead and delete that proportioning valve, and we're gonna add the provided one from Wilwood, which is a pretty nice unit. It hooks right to the side of the master cylinder. You can see here it has your sensor so that your brake light does not come on in your F100, F250s. I'm sure same in the F600s, F350s, and the Bumpside 67 through 72. It even has an electrical whip to extend it, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I was inside the cab adjusting the adjustable nut that attaches to the brake pedal. Little unexpected hiccup. The threaded rod that was supplied with the hydraulic boost kit wasn't long enough. Alright, so I bolted, and I'm going to put the camera down there in a second so you guys can see, but I bolted the brake pedal to the adjustable rod, adjusted it all the way out, and it was still hitting the floor. And I'm like, I need another ½ an inch. What am I supposed to do? So there's two options. One, I could have took the brake master cylinder and hydraulic unit out, completely disassembled it, got in a longer threaded rod, and then went back at it. But it's Sunday. I kind of want to get done with this. My brake pedal has got to be 2 inches wide up on the top, where the heim joint and everything is that adjusts the brake pedal. And so what I did was I actually drilled another hole over, and I'll show you guys that, and it turned out actually pretty decent. It was a 3/8 hole, and I drilled it about 5/8 of an inch, ½ an inch towards the firewall more, which would have lifted my pedal out towards the driver's seat more, which is exactly what I needed. And now, not only, I don't think I needed a ½ inch, it was like 3/8 of an inch. Not only do I have enough room now, the brake pedal doesn't hit the floor. When I lift it all the way up, it's perfectly, it doesn't hit the sensor for the brake lights to go on, and everything is kosher. I just have to tighten everything up. So I'm gonna go ahead and, it's kind of tight in there, but I'll try to give you guys a decent view. Let's try there. There's the rod coming through. Okay, from the bottom side, if you can follow it around. There it is right there. Now, you can see how I had to drill another hole. Okay, so there's a threaded rod. There is the bolt that I put through, but drilled it about 3/8 of an inch further towards the firewall. And everything's kosher. See, I got my adjustable nut that I can go ahead and cinch up. And so now what we do to test it, go ahead and push down on the brake pedal. And if you can get your fingers behind it after it's all the way down, that's how I consider it being close enough. And then on your way up, so every 4 generations a little different. So my sensor is gonna go right through that hole like that. Everybody can see that as I pull up on it. It doesn't go and doesn't hit the adjustable stopper. So in my mind, it's pretty much perfect. I'm gonna get the sensor bolted in there, get everything tightened up, and see exactly where it's at. It might need a thread this way or that way, but we're good. So once I get that all tightened up, it's back out to the engine compartment, and we are going to be getting some braided flexible lines that go from the hydraulic unit down to the power steering pump. That'll be tomorrow, since it's Sunday and no one's open today. All right guys, I just got my hydraulic power steering lines back from Parker or Ritter Technology. So here they are, so everyone can see. I got 3 black lines. Now I was actually gonna get braided lines, and then I thought about it for a little bit and I decided not to. And the only reason is because I just don't like cleaning chrome and braided stuff. They're black, no one sees any kind of road grime or anything. They clean up easy, etc, etc. You get the hint. All right, so pretty much what we got here is I had an existing power steering line that went from the power steering pump to the gearbox, right? I cut the ends off of it and put compression fittings on to get it to the GIC fittings. Okay, these are GIC. That's pretty much your standard, you know, we'll call it hydraulic hose fitting. You know, I work in the commercial industry. People might think this is a little overkill, but at the end of the day, I know these lines are rated for 3,500 PSI. They can take a beating, they can rub on something a little bit. I want this truck to be a driver, and at the end of the day, these hoses are cheap and they can get made at any automotive facility. You break down on the road, you could go to a Napa, you can go to an O'Reilly if they make hydraulic hoses, and you can get these kind of hoses made with the GIC fittings. So that's why I went this route, just to the fact that if I drive, I'm 2 hours away from home, it's pretty easy to get something fixed. All right, so to tell you exactly what each hose does, I have this fitting here, goes to the back of the power steering pump, and from there it'll go up to the hydraulic unit for the brakes. From there, it'll come out of the brakes and go to the power steering box, or not power steering box, but the gearbox. And from the return for the hydraulic unit for the brakes is this one, GIC, right into the back of the hydraulic unit, and can just get hose clamped onto the back, the third line on the back of the power steering pump. I already have a return line from the gearbox to the power steering pump, so I never had to make that line. So technically, if you're doing this from absolute scratch, you would have a 4th line, but since I already have that, I don't need to make that. All right, since I've pretty much been rambling on for 2 minutes, I'm gonna get to work, put them on there, and then from there, we're gonna bleed the master cylinder. All right, let's do it. All right, here's a brief little show. Go ahead and attach your clear rubber hoses to the master cylinder. Go ahead and run them back in to the master cylinder. Make sure the master cylinder is full of brake fluid and that the clear hose is underneath the level of brake fluid. All right, otherwise the air will just suck back and there's no point in trying to bleed the brakes in the master cylinder. Once you keep pumping the brakes like my son Cole is doing, hey Cole, then you see no more air bubbles coming through the line, then it's bled. And then what we'll do is we'll take the clear hoses off and install the portioning valve. Yep, that's exactly how you do it. That looks good. All right, guys, we're under the truck. So if everyone can see, on a bump side, here is your proportioning valve. underneath on the frame rail. Now I got some fuel lines and and such running through it, so it's kind of a little harder to tell. I have your front supply line is here, and your rear supply line, if you can see, it's on the bottom. You can always tell the rear supply because it's got a I think that's a, what is that, a 1/4 inch pipe, and this is gonna be an 1/8 inch pipe, I believe. Anyways, so my all right, so my plan is pretty much, was originally to take out the proportioning valve because the new kit comes with a proportioning valve, and then I was just going to put a union to pretty much just delete the stock proportioning valve. And then the new kit actually comes with supplied electrical line, so that you can take, here's the original plug-in for your brake sensor in the pad. There's a little red light on the left side of the dash, left side of the steering wheel, that will go on if it's working correctly, if the lose brake pressure. Now, like I said, the new supplied kit comes with a couple extensions so that you can hardwire that plug into it. Now, I'm just gonna delete this. Like I said, original plan was to put a union, and sorry for the shakiness, between the two lines and pretty much delete the proportioning valve. I might just actually still put a union in, but I just might make some new line to go up to the Wilwood. I don't think you have to in this case. Let's go up on top and I'll show you. All right, so here's your original 2 brake lines. Okay, you can see this. Here's your original 2 brake lines. They're kind of loose because I have them disconnected in the bottom also. So these lines, oops, kind of getting away from me. These lines are right here, and that there's an LED light in the bottom, so apologize if everyone's getting blinded. These lines, what I was originally going to do was just cut them a little shorter, maybe down here on the neck, if everyone can see that, so they're on a vertical facing, and then I was going to screw them right into the bottom of the proportion valve. So that's the new proportion valve right there, if everyone can see it. I know I got the camera turned, it's kind of hard though. Right there. Okay, and the lines go on the bottom. Okay, there's 3 lines that go on the bottom. So in this application, there is 1 for the rear and 2 for the front. Now, talk to Wilwood, far from stock. You don't need to take both of the front lines and run 1 to each wheel, because you just need pretty much a splitter, and we already have a Ford splitter down in the cross member. So all I need to do is I can block one of those holes up and take one of the front supplied holes, run it down to that splitter, which is what the line was down by the proportioning valve. I hope that kind of makes sense. So in all I need to do is run 2 new lines. That's what I've kind of decided. I'm going to run 1 for the front down to the existing brake line on the frame, which I showed you by the proportioning valve for the front, and 1 for the rear. That's it. Once I do that, we can, if your brake fluid has kind of leaked out, or mine's pretty good still, fill it back with brake fluid, make sure that the master cylinder is bled, and then hook up all your lines, and then all you gotta do is bleed your calipers. If you do it correctly, the calipers, you're not gonna need to bleed them much. There should be almost no air in them. If you use the original lines, if you put new lines on, however, there will be definitely some air in the lines. Other than that, we're pretty much getting close to wrapping up this project. Hopefully nothing else goes wrong. So it's early in the morning on a Sunday, so I kind of want to get this done and take it out on a Sunday cruise. So we'll see how it goes. Let's get at it. Alright guys, I have the lines installed for the new proportioning valve and they're heading down to the frame rail. I still have to go on the bottom side by the frame rail and connect the unions, but I have to run to the parts store, and they're not open yet because it's 5:30 on a Sunday morning. So here's the last look. Everything's tightened up. Proportioning valve, nice little adjustment knob for the rear brakes. Hashtag burn 'em. And we have our new copper lines, brass lines coming down to the frame rail. All right, so I'll get a picture down there once I get that union connected down there in the frame rail. I'll get a quick picture down there, and then the last thing is going to be just bleeding the calipers, which honestly I hope you guys don't have to bleed calipers. So little adjustment knob on the caliper, press the brake pedal down, let the air out, tighten it up. Got it. All right, so anyways, go ahead and let's get that brake line done as soon as the parts store opens, and I'll get the last video and I'll drive the shit out of this thing. All right, I'm back. The brake lines are completely installed. Got fluid in the system, so the only thing I have to do left is hook up the sensor for the Wilwood proportioning valve, and I unplugged the wires that were from the original Ford proportioning valve. So I'm just gonna cut the ends off. This was the plug right here that was on the original proportioning valve down on the driver's side frame. I took that off, unplugged it, so we're pretty much just gonna snip off the end. All right, and here is the pigtail 2 wires, okay, that were provided in the kit. They plug right into the proportioning valve, and it comes with this dust cover, and you just slide that dust cover over just like that when you're ready. A nice little dust cover, kind of fits over nice and slug. You can see that. Sorry for the shakiness. So we're just gonna end up cutting that pigtail, putting some connector wire, butt connectors on there, putting some shrink wrap on so they don't get any water corrosion, and time to bleed the brakes. All right, let's go for that ride. It's time to see what we got. Let's go ahead and fire it up for the first time. All right, let's see if we got those brakes. It's pretty firm right there. And drive. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice. Oh yeah, both forward and back, nice and firm. Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and check under the truck, make sure there's no leaks, and let's go for a test drive on the road. Hey guys, all right, as soon as I took it out of the garage, the brakes worked awesome. I couldn't ask for anything more. However, I had a little issue. Power steering pump wasn't working. I'm sorry, power steering pump was working perfectly fine. The power steering, I didn't have any, okay? I'm like, well, what the hell? I might have a line switched. So, made a phone call. No, my lines were right. So I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? What happened is I didn't realize that you need to crack a line on the hydro boost, on the return side. Just enough for you to let air out. Turn the truck on, have someone turn it on for you. Wait until the power steering fluid, ATF fluid, power steering fluid, whatever, comes through the hydro boost. So you see a little fluid, then tighten the line. As soon as I did that, had plenty of power steering. Turned like a dream. So, little tip, that just took me like 45 minutes to figure out, because I've never had a hydro boost before. So, the kids, there's my son Cole, the rest of the kids in the truck, they're ready to take this for a Sunday cruise, and I'll let you know how it is. Just got back from that test drive, and she brakes so nice. So nice. I mean, barely have to touch the brake, and it is coming to a stop right now. If I wanted to, I could easily lock them up, as before, would never been able to. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next week. Later.